This next video, we're going to show you specifically how to set up the Scorebug, how to do graphics, get your broadcast looking nice with the auxiliary features for specifically a football game here this fall. So we're going to go into a production truck. If you watch the first video on just general thoughts on setting up the broadcast, we went through all that. You've got audio, you've got video at this point. Now you kind of want to spruce it up and get it ready to go here for a football game. So we're going to, as you will for most of your graphics, everything in the Scorebug, you're going to hit this plus button here on this box in the bottom left corner, upper left. You're going to have two tabs that you're going to be looking at. So open is going to be all stuff that you've already downloaded onto this computer, graphics you've previously used. This is a computer that we don't use for broadcast typically. We have Production Truck downloaded on it, so I've got nothing here. You're going to go to download. First few things you're going to want to look for a football game, you can sort here with this filter. You can have any section, which is just going to have all the graphics available through Blueframe. If you want to kind of just whittle it down, we're gonna pick football. We're gonna have a few general ones that aren't nested under this category, but we'll start from here. First thing you're gonna want is you will want what's called a control panel. That is basically how you're gonna update the score. Hopefully we have Scorebird running on at the school you're doing the game from, but you do want the control panel there. You need it to actually pull from Scorebird. If you want to go in and manually, or your producer, make any adjustments, you need to have the control panel going. So that's the first thing. We're going to download this control panel. As we'll show, when you're putting graphics onto the broadcast, you're going to drag them from here to here. You'll see this doesn't really do anything when we drag this control panel over. That's because this isn't actually a graphic or the Scorebug. It's just the way that you control and update the score for that Scorebug. So control panel, the section is football. We downloaded that and opened it, ready to go. The next thing you're going to want is the scoreboard, which is going to be what's actually showing up on the broadcast. This is the one I think looks the best. For consistency's sake, please use this one, Scoreboard Flat Design. So this one I've actually opened on this computer before, so it's under the Open tab. We're going to fire that one up as well too. So Scoreboard here. This one is going to be your bread and butter. You drag the scoreboard over here, and you'll see the score showing up. If you ever want to put it onto your broadcast, you're ready to go. You hit overlay, and then there it is showing up here. You hit clear to wipe it. This is the preview of it you've got coming up here. So few things that you can do in the actual scoreboard tab itself. You are going to be able to update. You can add a little message above the banner. So 4 of our schools where we have a sponsor where the scoreboard is the Vile and Wild scoreboards. You can type that in here. You click this little eyeball on and off to make it visible or not. This pip clock is where you can use a camera basically to pull from a physical scoreboard. We're not really going to deal with that. So everything else you're going to need is pretty much in the control panel. So from here, you can change the score, update it here. If there's a touchdown, you can press the +6. You can add and subtract by 1. You can actually click on it and manually go in and type whatever score you want to update that. So update the periods, etc. Here's how you put the teams in. So you have an away tab and a home tab, and here's where you can type in your information for the different teams you've got playing. So in this example, we're going to have the Prior Lake Lakers coming. You can type in a location for the team. It shows up in different graphics. Type their mascot. Abbreviation's big. You definitely want to type this in. This is how we're going to abbreviate the team, and you can see that already updating on our Scorebug over here. Pick a color. I like to pick kind of, the shade of the actual color the team's wearing on the field, so it's kind of boring, but it helps the audience easily identify, which team is which. I'll pick a gray for kind of the road team. Pick a logo background. We'll usually have these on the desktop of the different schools, so here's our PL logo that we'll fire in there. That looks nice. Shows up right next to that. You can go in and also type in starters here. So I'm not going to do all of them here, but we'll type in one player, Joey Kraus. He's a senior, and this will come into play a little bit later for our starting lineup. You can put in one of each. We'll put in a defensive player as well too, and that will come into play a little bit later when we start to see the graphics. So we'll say that's Prior Lake. That's the visiting team. We'll make Shakopee the home team in our example here. They're in Shakopee, Sabres. We like to put Shako for there. Sometimes they'll wear black. Sometimes they'll wear red at home. We'll give them a nice Sabre red. And we'll put as well a PNG file, preferably without a background. So that's a clear background, so that populates in our scoreboard bug like that. Put in a couple players here. You can input the whole starting lineup if you like. And, we'll call it a day there. So that's how you do that. Everything else, I think, pretty self-explanatory in terms of how you control this score bug. That's kind of how you get the scoreboard running. Other graphics you are going to use, one is going to be the image overlay queue. This one's just under any section. It's just a general listed one. It's this one under general called image overlay queue. This allows you to throw in multiple graphics. If you're doing this, you're going to want to pull from the Google Drive that you should have access to. In the share drive, we have a different folder for every school. So broadcast live reads and graphics, we're going to have them all nested under each of these, where we'll have all the graphics located. I'm going to pull some ones. That's where they will be located for this year, broadcast live read and graphics. I'm actually going to go in and download our broadcast graphics folder from last year, but that's where you would get it from our Google Drive, and we'll fire that up here in a second and show you how to download those. So once you have that downloaded, you can pull it onto your desktop. It's just this broadcast graphics folder. You can put it just anywhere you can easily access it and know where it's saved. I've got it on my desktop here. I'll go back to my image overlay queue. I will hit that plus button right here to add a graphic. I will choose a file. Then I'll go to where I just dumped my broadcast graphics. So open this up, hit apply. Here's something I recommend doing as well too. You can hit position, where you can actually control kind of where this graphic ends up being thrown down on the screen. Here, we'll show it to you right here. We'll hit apply. You pick your graphic. There it is. This looks pretty good. Depending on the sport and where your score bugs look located, you can play around with these position settings, and you can see I can kind of raise it and lower it. You can move it left to right. We'll keep it pretty centered. Just looks nice when it's kind of sitting right on top of this score bug like this. So we'll kind of do it like that. So if you have a little bit of game action, it's not going to be intrusive. If it doesn't go away right away, we'll hit apply and kind of set it right there for the football. You can throw in multiple graphics on this, and the image overlay, the queue, will let you switch between multiple things. So we'll have some live reads, so you can switch. You see here, we got our upcoming schedule. We have our social media live read graphic. This just allows you to really comfortably and quickly, you or your producer, switch between these two different graphics like that. So that's the image overlay queue. You definitely will be using that. You'll be using the control panel and the scoreboard. That's kind of the main hub of what you're going to need for football. You can check it out. Other ones that I use on my broadcasts, they're mostly listed under these football ones. You can sort that way. You can get this breakboard flat design. I'll show you what that looks like. If you're keeping stats, you can throw up some team stats at halftime, for example. You've got different options for the starting lineup, which I'll show you that as well too. These are the 3 other ones that I typically use outside. So breakboard, flat design, team stats, flat design sometimes, and a starting lineup. So we'll download those and dump those in. You go from download then to the open tab where they now appear. We'll open those. Breakboard is just something nice that you can go to coming in or out of break that takes up a little bit more of the screen. You can, add a little message here. I'll sometimes, add where the game is being as kind of a little locator. So you come to and from break kind of looking at this. So you can throw that up on the screen when you come back. So I'll use that a little bit. Team stats, if you're keeping any stats that you want to throw up of note at halftime, this allows you to kind of manually put those in. So you can write out halftime stats. It'll show up like that at the top. You can go in and kind of manually, you can even change what these different stats are. You can, hey, we can say there were this many penalties or whatever you want to put in. You can update those from there too. And then the starting lineup. So this one's neat because you use the control panel to type in your starters. Like you can see from earlier, we put in Joey Kraus to the offense. We just put in one player from each team. But you can go into the control panel in these 2 tabs that we showed, type in all the players you want to list as the starters. They show up in that order that you typed them. So something you can do to kind of show the starters on the broadcast if you have time. Can look really nice. So that's football graphics. There's certainly other options and other additional things you can add. That's typically what I do and kind of a starting point for how you can go about kind of maximizing what your football broadcast will look like. So that's it for football.